To conclude the fourth part, I've mentioned the names of only a few companies. There were a large number of companies post 1995 who started reinterpreting HRD, started focusing on various subsystems of HRD, started slowly focusing on intellectual capital building, and so on. So you will find the growth of human resource development taking place phenomenally between 1995 to, let's say, to date. And I must mention HR leaders, a good number of HR leaders. So academics contributed, industry contributed, a good number of HR leaders also contributed by offering mentorship, by participating in conference of HRD network, NIPM, ISTD, and so on. I must say that almost most of the National HRD network has office bearers, which normally are presidents of HRD network, and also each chapter has a set of office bearers, president, secretaries, and there are almost about 40 and odd chapters of the National HRD network. Although the membership is something around 15,000 at this point of time, the chapters were going up and down. If you look at all those who were heading, most of those who were heading these chapters, these were all HR stalwarts. Some of them became stalwarts after they started heading HRD network, and some of them were already stalwarts, and they added a great brand value to HRD network and gave a good sense of direction. If I have to recapitulate people who I consider as HR leaders, simply from those who are associated with the HRD network, it starts with Mr. M.R.R. Nair, who was the chairman of Steel Authority of India, V.S. Mahesh, who was for a short time the president of National HRD Network, one Rajesh Vidyasagar, president of National HRD Network, and we had Debashish Mitra, then we had Mr. Pandey, who was chairman of Steel Authority of India subsequently, and after that Arvind Agarwal, Dr. Arvind Agarwal from RPG Group, who was president, Santrup Mishra of the Birla Group, Dwarkanath from Max, and N.S. Rajan, who was heading E&Y consultancy service, Akhil Busrai, who was with IBM and various other companies. Then we have from Siddiqui, S.Y. Siddiqui from Maruti Udyog. We had Ram Kumar from ICICI, after Mr. Ram Kumar, Mr. Ray from NTPC, and currently Krish Shankar from. I mean, these are just, I've taken the names of the presidents. Every one of them made a difference to the HR profession. Number one, through whatever they have done at HRD Network. Number two, whatever they are doing in their own company before and after. I think these are real good HR leaders. I mean, it will be unfair for me and not to mention among the academics people like D.M. Pestanji, Professor Ramnarayan, and in the recent time Rajesh, and Professor Biju Varki at MDI, Professor Preetham Singh, then Professor Bhatnagar, and from IIM Calcutta a large number of people, including at one point of time Dr. Chakravarti. At IIM Bangalore, a large number of people who contributed to HRD. N.M. Agarwal, Vasanthi Srinivasan, Anandram, Manohar, and many others. These are all academics. And of course, the person who has done his perhaps first PhD in HRD was Father Abraham, sometime in the year 1985, and is a wonderful. He worked for a long time as a secretary of HRD Network, and later became the director of XLRI Jamshedpur, and he had done a lot in terms of promoting HRD and also proving himself to be a great institution builder and so on. Among others who are office bearers, I think PVR Murthy from Dr. PVR Murthy from Madras, S. Chandrasekhar from L&T, ECC again from Madras, and there were a whole lot of people in Bangalore, almost about 15 to 20 of them. D.R. Nagaraj, Pallab Bandyopadhyaya, Vidyasagar, Krish Shankar, and Harish Devarajan, Rupa Padki, who combines both academic as well as practice and who works very closely with the NGO sector and so on. C. Mahalingam, late C. Mahalingam, unfortunately we lost him very recently, was another kind of a person. And Srinivas, both one Professor Srinivas from XLRI as well as another HS Srinivas from the Tata Group, who also contributed. He liaised both with NIPM and others. I think I can go on. I think in Bombay there is a whole lot of group. In Delhi, Anil Sachdeva, PK Sarangi, and there are many others, I think, who contributed to this. Some of them later became heads of HR in Procter and Gamble and in GE and so on and so forth. So these were all excellent leaders we have had who contributed to the growth of HRD. If I simply start writing and looking at all the people who mattered in building the profession, it might require a full day or maybe a month. So I am not able to acknowledge and put here all the people because that's not the intention. This is only an illustrative list of people who contributed to the evolution and growth of HRD. I think these are all marvelous kind of people. In all these, of course, Dr. Uday Parikh had been a big mentor and a person who held of the hand both at the Academy of HRD as well as National HRD Network. And number of things, so I will not go into this. So just to say, the conferences and seminars and professional bodies that mattered in all this include 1979 workshop at IMA, 84 starting of the Center of HRD at XLRI, 85 conceptualizing the HRD network, 87 HRD conference network conference, 89 conference on workmen, 90 conference in HRD for excellence. Formation of the Academy of HRD itself is a big stone. Joint fellow program, doctoral level fellow program for HRD and XLRI is another. And 21st national conference since then by NHRDN. There were many conferences that were held, and I must acknowledge both the NIPM and ISTD have also started focusing their effort on HRD, and recently all the three bodies together decided they should be promoting HRD as a with a proper formulation and so on, be made into a chartered status. So there were efforts which have begun to be made to create HRD profession as a status, but at the same time HRD organizations like HRD Network are focusing on developing a competency model for all HR professionals, assessing them through assessment centers and offering certification so that the quality of HR can go up. Same way HRD is being focused in using different titles through their diploma programs by ISTD, NIPM, and in some ways through the city-based task forces by Confederation of Indian Industry, and also through diploma programs in HR by the All India Management Association and so on. So there is a lot that has happened in the country in the last 45 years if you look at in terms of HRD. Where does it stand? I think this is where I should conclude the HRD with a bit of a jolt for some of you. I think sometime about 6 years ago, I happened to attend a program at Isha Foundation by Sadhguru, where he said, human is not a resource. In fact, he went on to say, to call human as a resource is a criminal. Human beings cannot be measured. Human beings are possibilities. Do not try to reduce human being to a number. I totally agreed with most of what he have said, though felt uncomfortable when he said human is not a resource. But I was looking for an opportunity because by the year 2015, the human resource development became a tool to achieve profits, a tool to promote business excellence. In the process of using human resource development as a tool, we forgot human resource development by itself is a philosophy, a way of life, and it can stand on its own, whether in a business setting or in a governmental setting or in an NGO setting. So to say human resource development is for profits as for business excellence is to reduce totally the human being to a number. So that is what caught in my listening to Sadhguru, and I said I agree with your first statement in the context of the second statement, that is humans are possibilities more than a resource. I said the only point where I agree with you, human resource, is that if you treat human as a resource, yes, I agree, we run a risk. But if you treat human resource as one term, what we are saying is every human being is born with unlimited talent. It's like calling human talent. Of course, you can also use talent word for non-humans, because there are also talented chimpanzees, talented dogs, cats, because you get them to acquire certain things, but you don't use the term talent there. So I said, but I like much more the concept of human as a possibility. And we started running this program called Human is Not a Resource. I mean, that has got by now established as a brand. I only subscribe to the fact that humans are possibilities. I think human beings have phenomenal talent. If you take out a resource and substitute with talent, I think it is worth. But this language, human resource development, is an English word. We are not, at least we people in India are not born, our mother tongues are different. This is a language which we have acquired, and it can be interpreted in any way you like. So, but right now this helps me to tell people, you have reduced HRD to resource department, not even human. Human is lost in HRD. The only resource department is existing. Therefore, we should come back and bring back the human into this, because I am also impressed with what Sadhguru said, that if you want to get the best out of people, you should make them feel happy. If you punish them, they are not likely to give their best. This is something which we have always maintained. So therefore, the job of HRD is to create happiness at work, which exactly is what we talked of in the year 1975. The purpose of HRD is to create happiness at work, constantly monitor organizational culture. The purpose of HRD is commitment building, which means motivation, culture building, which means lasting effect, and competence building. This is what we talked of. So we are saying the same thing, whether Sadhguru says it or somebody else says it. But as a mystic, and a very popular mystic with 9 million volunteers across the world, I think his conceptualization matters a lot. So I don't abandon human resource development. I still stick to human HRD. At best, I can call it human possibilities department, which is a quite nice thing to talk about, and so on. So this is the development, and I am using this stick to provoke HR managers. HR audit is a way of really turning your attention to HR as a philosophy, as a way of life. Now today I am saying HRD is the job of everyone. Every human being is his or her own HRD manager. Do not delegate your own development to a department called as HRD department. If you do that, I think you have created your own doom. Nobody can take charge of your development. You are most important. In the corporate sector, every CEO is the first HRD manager. He has to ensure people are happy and give their best. HR departments may provide you with various methods, but you should never forget the ultimate kind of an objective. And I also suggested to HR managers, if everyone takes charge of his HRD, you may ask the question, what am I going to do? And I say, your job is to help everyone to take charge of his own HRD. And that's not an easy task. If you have 1,000 people in your company, if you have to make everyone take charge of their own HRD, see the amount of coaching you need to do, amount of interactions you need to have. So you have a very well niche cut out job for you. You are the most important person to create ownership of their own development at all levels. And I also started saying HRD is a spiritual function. Post-pandemic, I think everyone needs to take care of himself, use indigenous methods, use yoga, meditation, and a whole lot of things which in a country like India with 5,000 odd years of history has a lot to contribute in building your immunity and so on. So I'm also suggesting to HR people, your now task is cut out. You are first an employee champion. You are a customer champion then next. Third, you are an employer champion, and all stakeholder champion, and a community champion. So you have multiple stakeholders, and you have a large task to do. And this is therefore a great profession to be in. If you understand this and contribute to human welfare, I think you have achieved a lot more, and there can be anything better than this. So all the best if you get inspired by this, And thank you very much for your patient listening.